evening, darlings. So I got a request that I'm honestly not entirely sure how I'm going to do this because I don't sort of have the technological know-how to do it properly. But I was asked by Anonymous, could you try doing a Draw My Life? So apparently what this is that you're supposed to sort of hook it up with your computer and sort of tell a story about your life, usually based off of sort of things that you've heard from other people or information from a relative or something like that. And then you sort of draw it out. And I would like to preface this entire thing with saying I have no artistic talent like this whatsoever. Drawing is not my forte. So we're going to have some stick figures. I hope stick figures are up to snuff. You know, it's I took some painting courses, but it was sort of landscapes and flowers and insects and not the human form ever. So I've thought about sort of what I was going to even tell. You know, I've lived a long time, darlings, and coming up with a single story that's short enough for a video, well, that's even more difficult. So I'm just going to tell you about this one time when I was little. So I'm going to draw myself little now, and then I'll show you the picture. As I'm talking, I'll sort of do it. So here I am. I had lovely hair, sort of happy little child, and so there I was, walking out in the woods, and this is my artistic ability here. I don't even have any paper except for schedules from work, so that's how crazy things are for me right now. So so I'm walking and I'm walking and I'm walking. So I'm walking along, and I come to a river. It's my river. I'm very artistically talented, you can tell. And so I get to this river, and I see that across the river there's this sort of a lot of a sort of mushrooms hanging about in a circle, you know, and they're often called, when you see them like this, sort of a fairy circle is often what they're called. And of course, fairy stories do say that if you walk into the ring, that, you know, you'll sort of find yourself in an enchanted sort of story. So you'll find yourself with the little ring. And actually, it's quite interesting that they're all actually part of the same mushroom plant. The myceli tend to go sort of in a circular pattern. Not all mushrooms do this, but quite a few of them do. And so that's why you end up getting those circles, and then the fruiting bodies are just popping up all over. So so there was this circle of mushrooms, and I thought I absolutely have to go and check it out, because I sort of was fascinated by these fairy stories, even though I suppose you could argue that being an elf I sort of am already living in one, but you know, that's neither here nor there, is it? So I saw that the river, it was rather rapidly moving, but there was sort of a large sort of stepping stone right in the center. And so I thought in my head, okay, well, I'll just be there, and I will jump onto the stone, and then I can jump onto the other side, and then I will have happy mushroom friends. So here's me, I jump across, and happy mushroom friend. But that's not what happened, because what I didn't realize at the time is that although the stone appeared grey, and so it looked like a solid stone, actually what was happening was that sitting all along the top of that was actually some algae, but it was grey algae. So it just looked like a stone. So when I landed upon the stone, what happened was I very quickly went off the stone, and I sort of fell with a big sort of splash into the river. And what I also didn't know, because it was a very clear stream, sort of, the water was very clear, and so I thought it was quite shallow, but actually it was quite deep, and so I ended up getting entirely soaked. I was able to stand, just below my nose was the water line. So, so you know, I was very sad, very, very sad. I'm going to try to draw myself very sad. No, I can't even, that doesn't look like anything. I'm so, darling, this is such a terrible thing to try to have me do. So I was there in the water, and I was very sad, and I was surrounded by water. And mostly I was just very sad because I was soaking wet. And it was also, that evening was sort of a diplomatic event, and I had on my good clothes, and so when I came back home, when I returned, I was very sad because I was very wet, and my father was not very pleased, and you know, he had something made custom for the event, so he was a little cross with me, to say the least, but luckily he did see why I had done it. So after a bit of a scolding and a change of clothes, he did, for my birthday that year, bring me out to an even larger fairy circle that he had found about from one of the scouts. And so I was very happy that my father would do that for me. And so, you know, he knew that I was sort of a curious child, and even though I was not always the best at thinking things through, let's say, you know, my father and I did have a lot of good times together. So, in conclusion, it was a happy story. So I hope that is good for you, darlings, and I'm sorry that my drawing skills are simply atrocious. And maybe if I can, you know what, I should have asked someone to do the drawing for me. That would have been great. I'll try to do that. I'll see if I can find someone who might be willing. You know, I have enough servants around. One of them is bound to be good at this thing. And then we'll do it again, darling. So I hope that that sort of followed what you wanted to see, darling. I hope. But at any rate, thank you so much for the prompt, and cheers again. Ta-ta.